Last Friday, I dropped off my most recent group of foster kittens, the flying, furry, screaming land piranhas, or the Friends foster kittens, and they went to a local PetSmart. And some people have some feelings about that, and I just wanted to kind of explain a little bit. I think that's really the most I can do. I want to start by saying I can understand how people might be upset about them going to a pet store, but please allow me to put your mind at ease. The reason that these kittens went to a local pet store instead of going straight to someone's home, like from my home to their forever home, is because I'm fostering these kittens through a local nonprofit. Now, there are two main ways that I have fostered kittens over the last 3 years. There's been through this local nonprofit. It's a very, very small group. They're fantastic, primarily made up of foster homes and an adoption coordinator. Then I have fostered on my own. And I'll tell you a little bit of the differences between these. Fostering through the nonprofit means that they pay for everything. They pay for the vetting, they pay for the food for the most part. I do chip in, of course, but they pay for everything. They also vet all of the adopters, and they work with PetSmart Charities to be able to use the space in a local PetSmart store so people can come and meet the kitties, do the application process and all of that there in PetSmart. That is different from when I am fostering kitties on my own. When I foster independently, meaning someone has messaged me and said, hey, I found this kitten or this cat, I don't know what to do with it, will you please take it? When I say yes to that and they come to me, I pay for everything. There is no nonprofit helping to pay for it, the food, anything. So I pay for everything, usually with the help of you guys, which is awesome. We've done a lot of donation drives or like food drives so that I can have a little store of food and litter that we go through. But when I'm fostering independently, I vet all of the adopters and call their vet and do a vet check and do all that kind of stuff. And in that situation, kittens go from my home to their home. Now back to PetSmart Charities. I do want to say that, now watch this, as a foster parent and not as somebody who works with PetSmart directly, i.e. our adoption foster coordinator, I do not know absolutely everything about a nonprofit being set up in PetSmart Charities or the PetSmart Charities adoption space. While I do know some about how that works from what I've learned from our adoption coordinator, I have not worked with them directly, so I cannot speak from that experience, but I will speak from the experience of working with the foster coordinator who has worked with PetSmart Charities. PetSmart Charities allowing local nonprofits to use that space in their stores allows people to come meet these kittens that are available for adoption and to see them, walk by them in a store, and it gives them exposure that they would not have otherwise. Like I said, the group that I foster with is very small. It's called Save Our Strays / Perfect Love. That's actually two nonprofits who are merging together, but they do not have a space of their own. Save Our Strays / Perfect Love does not have a facility of their own. It can be very expensive for nonprofits to have a facility and to do all the maintenance that can come with that. It is awesome for the charities who can do it, but there are a lot of charities that cannot. And for those groups, having a resource like PetSmart Charities is so invaluable. This is the part of PetSmart Charities that I can speak on, and that is the space is nice. If you saw my video from last Friday, you may have seen that I was transferring the Friends Fosters from their carrier to some of the smaller enclosures in the space, but I want to emphasize that small does not necessarily mean small. When you are standing on the outside of any of those PetSmart Charities spaces, you only see a part of it, and that's because the kitties have another area that is not shown to the public, and that's so that they can have a little privacy if they want it. The PetSmart Charity space at my local PetSmart, which is PetSmart in Hoover, Alabama, also has a room where all the kitties roam freely, and that space is also available to the kitties. Now, the reason that we often start kitties in the smaller enclosure is because they are in a new space, and kittens are very adaptable. I want to make that very clear, but sometimes going into a new space, especially a new space with other cats, can be a tad overwhelming, and smaller spaces tend to reduce stress for cats and kittens, so we start them in the smaller enclosure while they get adjusted to the new space. I do want to say that they are eating all the same food. That's something that our nonprofit group emphasizes, that we are not changing their food when they go to PetSmart. But we start them in that smaller space so they can get adjusted, and then once they're adjusted, they have they can roam in the bigger room. That bigger room is a great place where people can come in, meet the kitties, interact with them for themselves. It's one thing to see a picture of a kitty online, but to be able to go and actually meet them, play with some toys, and see their personalities in person, it's very invaluable. Our group has a rotation of volunteers who go in and clean the space every single day. They check on the food, they check on the water, they just go and play with them and give them some more engagement and interaction. And even though that's all fine and good, at the end of the day, that is temporary. The goal for cats and kittens going into the PetSmart charity space with our nonprofit is for them to get adopted. And if a kitty has been there for a while or is maybe a little stressed, our fostering group will pull that kitty out of the space, put them back in a foster home, and then if somebody wants to meet that kitty, they can actually go to that space, and there's another little area that's blocked off from all the other kitties, and someone can meet them there. It does take a little more coordination, with a potential adopter. If they want to meet someone who is in a foster home, you have to coordinate with the potential adopter, the adoption coordinator, and the foster parent. But that's possible. And if there's a kitty that just is really not doing well in the PetSmart space, of course, we're not going to leave them there. I've been fostering with Charities / Perfect Love for 3 years now, and I have actually never had a kitty that needed to be placed back in a foster home. They've all adjusted really well to the PetSmart space, and they do not stay there long. Now, all that is fine and good, but do I still feel guilty about taking them out of my home and putting them in an environment that's unfamiliar to them? Do I worry about them? Yes. Do I love, don't cry, removing them from the place that they've been familiar with for so long and putting them somewhere that is unfamiliar? I hate it. I don't like it. I cry every time. I've been doing it, like I said, for 3 years, and I cry every single time when I leave them there. But I know that if they're going to find their forever families, and that is what I want for them, then this is a necessary part of it. Would we love to put every kitty that we foster straight into an adopter's home? Yes, but the nonprofit that I foster through is very thorough with the vetting process, and that does take a little time. And we really like for adopters to come meet them, and this is the best way to be able to do that. It is easier for me to place kitties directly into somebody's home because I may only be fostering a few at a time, whereas the nonprofit group may have dozens of kitties in their care that they're responsible for. Does it still break my heart? Yes. Yes, it does. But I would not leave them there if I was not 100% confident that they were being well cared for, well looked after, and if they were not going to go into the absolute best homes that I know that nonprofit has well vetted before they will be adopted. I cannot speak for every pet store. I cannot speak for all of the pet store chains, but I can speak for my experience with PetSmart and PetSmart Charities. Also, I'd like to say this is not an ad. PetSmart does not know who I am. But I'm just speaking from experience that they have really provided an invaluable resource for nonprofits and rescue groups like Save Our Stray / Perfect Love. And I am incredibly thankful for them providing that space to us. It would look very different for us to try to get these kitties adopted if we did not have that space. One last thing before signing off here, but to everybody who approached this question with kindness, compassion, maybe even a little confusion, that's okay. Thank you for raising the question. My goal here is to always educate and just shine a little light into the world of fostering. And to everybody who approached this question with shame and guilt and judgment, I promise you cannot make me feel any worse than I already do with letting fosters go. It is absolutely heartbreaking to let them go. And to have more judgment coming in from the outside certainly doesn't make it any better. And I implore you to evaluate how you interact with people in situations that you may not know everything about. Like I said, this is a snapshot. This is just shining a little light on it, but there's so much that happens behind the scenes. And if I could show you everything, I would, but I can only post so much in a day. Approaching something with kindness goes a lot farther than approaching with judgment. That can be applied to a lot happening today. Okay, that's all. Love you all so much.